Let's talk about 2024. I can't believe it's already 2024. I feel like this year, I just like last week got used to writing 2023 and now it's already 2024. Even my 13-year-old, or she's 14. Oh my God, she's 14. See, I don't even remember how old she is anymore. Even my 14-year-old says, it's all going by so fast, Mom. I'm like, you can't say that. You're too young to say that. All right, so here's the overview of what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you, first of all, some contemplations for the year. I do not believe that the astrology sets our fate in place. I don't believe that we're doomed. I don't believe that our fate is locked in place. I believe that the astrology or the celestial weather gives us archetypal themes for us to explore for the sake of facilitating our growth and evolution. Now, I want to say this to you in the context of a thought that I had yesterday. And this is a personal thought, and some of you might relate to this. If not, I can just verify that I'm just weird, but we all know that. I feel internally like I have been preparing for the collapse of the modern world for about 5 years. It has been not a very pleasant experience internally, and it started around COVID. It started around the time when Uranus went into Taurus. It's been an internal cycle of like feeling like I got to prepare. Now, I'm a fourth line profile. So for those of you who have fours in your profile, if you're a 1, 4, 2, 4, 4, 1, 4, 6, you might relate to this anyway. But I definitely have felt like I'm running constant contingency plans for the end of the world inside of my head. That's not a healthy thing to do. And I started to think about how interesting is it that even in our awakened community, oftentimes we're preparing for the shift, and the shift doesn't always mean something fun, right? It doesn't mean, oh, we are peacefully and easily constructing an alternative reality that's rooted in equitability and justice and peace and sustainability, right? It means we're going to be the ones that survive, right? We have kind of that mindset. And so I want to invite you, as we start talking about our contemplations for the year, to really think about what if there is no end of the world, but rather a rebuilding of the world that's happening quietly? What if we're already part of a very elegant and joyful and easy and abundant and just and sustainable revolution? And that rather than taking everything down to the bare bones in this cataclysmic apocalyptic way that we love to talk about in the media and in entertainment for some reason, because why is that fun? I don't know. But what if instead we just start building something better? What if we just continue to quietly construct something better? And certainly I would say that the energy of 2024 gives us a lot of possibility to really, really get ourselves radically disentangled from any collective narrative that keeps us small, that keeps us afraid, that keeps us playing in a less than game, that keeps us measuring our value externally rather than internally. What if we use the energies of this year to catalyze the construction of something better? There's certainly a lot of possibility this year for that to happen. After we explore the contemplations for the year, I'm going to go through the themes of the 4 quarters just to remind you that what's happening when we step into the new human design year, which, by the way, doesn't actually start until January 21, 22, that as we step into this new year, we're actually stepping into a new 1-year-long creative cycle. So I'm going to break the quarters of the creative cycle down for you so that you can understand where and how to tailor your creativity and your intentions around these really important, really powerful 4 quarters. Then I'm going to give you a mantra for 2024. And that mantra is you could take that with you. We're going to make sure that you get access to the slides that I share with you today. So you'll have an opportunity as we go through this material to look at the slides in greater detail later. And then we're going to, of course, look a little bit at how do the planetary transits impact your personal chart. And I'm just going to give you some ways that you can look at the transits and explore how that might impact your actual chart. And then we'll look at some of the bigger 2024 global themes. We'll look at some of the slower moving planets and their transits and what that means for the global themes of the year. So as you can see, You got a lot of ground to cover. So, as I said, get yourself comfortable. You need to hug your existential crisis Bob, get him handy. If you need some water or juice or whatever, relax and take some time and take some notes. And let's get going with the 2024 themes. So, our contemplations for the year. These are questions that I will encourage you. Actually, I'll share you. I printed them up. I have them right here because they're on my desk. I'm looking at them every day because these are contemplations I encourage you to think about over the arc of the entire year because these are going to help you really get the most out of the growth that's available for you this year. The first question for the year is, how can I stay more aligned and deeply connected to my authentic self? I can't tell you, especially in the first half of the year, how essential this question, this exploration is. You need to be, especially as we walk into this new year, really exploring who is the you that's creating your life. And if your life isn't reflecting back to you what you really want to be experiencing, then I want to encourage you to really get in there and dig deep into that story and explore, how do you need to rewrite your personal narrative so that you are being more deeply and consistently connected to your authentic self. The second exploration for the year is, how do you heal the karma of your self worth so that you can harness sustainable power and the energy for creating without pushing with willpower? You will see as we go through the transits that there is a lot of energy, particularly in the first half of the year, that revolves around the will center, or we call it the resource center in quantum human design. And that sets us up for a really beautiful conversation about creating with alignment, which is sustainable, which is in alignment literally with your authentic self, which is why that authentic self piece is so important. And in alignment, by the way, with our internal sense of value, so that we're not making reactive decisions in an attempt to prove our worth, but we're taking a bold claim, a bold stand, and making a bold proclamation that each and every one of you, that you are valuable, that you're inherently valuable because you exist, that your life is important, that your existence on this planet is an essential part of the collective whole, and that you set good boundaries and you take good care of yourself, and you hold that energy so solidly that that energy becomes your creative power, not forcing, not pushing, not attempting to prove your value or create value in the way that we've done it in the past. That means one of the other things that we're doing this year is we are redefining for ourselves our unique definition of what is abundance. And that's going to be different for each and every one of us. We're stepping out of the collective narrative. We're stepping out of the matrix and deciding for ourselves what is success for us, what is value for us, what is our abundance look like. And we are giving ourselves permission through alignment, not hustle, not pushing, not burning ourselves out with willpower. We are making bold decisions this year to step out of the collective definitions and bring ourselves back into harmony with what we genuinely want, what our authentic self wants and needs to fulfill the full potential of our unique story. The next contemplation for this year, and boy, this is just really the beginning. This is a big, big, big theme that is playing out over and over and over again, and really is an essential component of the shift that we're going through, and really part of the change that's happening in our body graph, in our energy design, that's showing us that we create in direct correlation with the capacity we have to have faith in the unseen. That our faith and our ability to hold an energetic frequency of abundance, and abundance in this case is your own enoughness, knowing that you'll have what you need to have when you need to have it. You'll know what you need to know when you need to know it, that you are sufficient and lacking in nothing, and you live and create from that place, and you hold that energy and that expectation that when you create from that place, then you get everything you need to not only fulfill your story, but to do the work that you came here to do, to be part of bringing this new world into form. And then last but not least, because our mantra next year, in conjunction with alignment, more alignment, less hustle, more faith, less fear, we also are going to have to be pivoting and reinventing and pivoting and reinventing. You might find that next year there may be cycles of disruption where you'll be walking along on the sidewalk and all of a sudden you put your foot down and the sidewalk is gone. And you're going to have to very quickly on one foot figure out where to put the next foot down. We've already been getting practice in that. We're not so new at that game anymore, but certainly I would say next year will require of us to become more elegant in pivoting. And here's the piece that I want to just strengthen for you, or encourage you to strengthen in yourself. Pivoting doesn't mean compromising. Pivoting doesn't mean settling. Pivoting means shifting directions, but staying connected to your integrity, your value, and your values. And so certainly I would say the quintessential thing we need to have in place in order to stay resilient and fluid and adaptable is a deep connection with our inner set of our core values. What are our core values? What are the non-negotiables? What do we need, and what do we require, and what do we value? And how can we stay in the flow of what's next without compromising any of those key pieces? So I would encourage you to print these questions up. As I said, make sure you get a copy of the slides if you choose to print them up. I would print these up and keep them handy, because these are really, I would encourage you to do these contemplations on a weekly basis. Because if you can stay really connected to your answers to these questions, it'll give you a good compass as you engineer and navigate your way forward. So every year I like to write a mantra for the year. So our mantra for 2024 is, it's not really a mantra, it's pretty long, but I am a holographic representation of the divine. All of creation resides within me. My creativity extends beyond what my mind can imagine. I use my imagination in robust and unlimited ways in order to prepare the way for me to receive all that I need and desire. I allow myself to receive in order to expand upon what I have, so that I have enough. I fully embody and manifest my enoughness. My expansion allows me more to share, and the more I share, the more I am in the flow of synchronicity and magic. I was born for this time. I am a way shower. The more I activate my quantum creative potential, the more I expand portals of opportunity and expansion for others. The more I activate my quantum creative potential, the more I activate the same potential in those around me, creating a critical mass that will continue to shift the planet towards equitability, justice, peace, sustainability, and abundance for all the planet and the cosmos. So think about that this year. That's what we're working on this year, our concept for this year. All right. The quantum human design year is split into 4 quarters. Each one of these quarters represents a different phase in the creative process. Now, the human design year doesn't actually start, as I said, I'm going to check it out, make sure I got the date right, does not actually start this year until January 23. So it's late this year. So on January 23, when the sun moves into the gate 41, we start our new human design year. It's interesting to note that the year starts in the 4th quarter, in the last quarter. So if you look at this mandala, you'll see, of course, on the inner ring of the mandala are all the 64 hexagrams. The sun and the earth travel through these 64 hexagrams, or the 64 gates, over the arc of 365-ish days. If you see right here, this is the 4th quarter. The gate 41 is right here. When the sun shines on the gate 41, which is still in the 4th quarter, the new year starts. The 1st quarter doesn't actually start until February. I think it's pretty profound and really beautiful that we actually start in the end. We start in the quarter that is all about contemplating what worked and what didn't. And so, as we move into the new calendar year on Monday, moving towards the new human design year on January 23rd, we move into a really important dream cycle that actually carries us until February, where we are deep diving into a retrospective analysis of what worked in this previous creative cycle. What were the blessings? What were the gifts? What didn't work? What needs to be rejiggered and reconfigured before we really begin that solid and powerful movement forward into the next creative cycle. I think it's interesting, in human design, one of the components of the chart is the Judaic Kabbalah. In Judaism, night start at nighttime, sundown actually begins the next day. So the day in Judaism starts with sunset. So when the sun goes down, the new day begins in darkness, and sunrise actually happens kind of in the middle of the day. So I like to think of it as very similar to how it is in Judaism, that really we kind of start in the darkness, even if you live in the Southern Hemisphere. We start in the energetic darkness, right? We're looking at what happened before, and we're moving forward. If you look at the 4 quarters, you'll see in the first quarter of the human design year, that's on the left here, we have the quarter of possibility. And I think it's very interesting to note if you look at the gates that get activated. So these little charts are the gates that get activated by the sun during the different quarters. So in the first quarter, if you look at the left-hand image here, you'll see that the sun goes through it goes through almost all the gates on the emotional solar plexus, and does a lot of stuff. It hangs out a lot here in the will center as well. So in this quarter of possibility, we're dreaming, we're contemplating, we're using our imagination to amp up our emotional frequencies, our creative frequencies. We're exploring important questions like value and sustainability and self-worth and purpose. And in this first quarter, we're beginning, I like to think of it as a gardening metaphor. In this first quarter, we're really looking at what seeds do we want to begin to plant? And we begin to plant those seeds by first holding and creating the energetic matrix, the frequencies of the possibility of those dreams. So in this first quarter, we look at, which seeds are we going to plant? In the second quarter, the quarter of the template, now we're starting to put the garden together. We're actually, in the garden, tending to it. We've prepared the soil. We've put the seeds into the soil. We're watering. We're making sure there's no weeds, etc. In this second quarter, if you look at the gates that get activated by the sun, it's all the throat gates, right? So the words we speak create a template of possibility. We begin to speak and to form what we're creating. And of course, in this process, we're also exploring how do we expand and break free from patterns of the past? How do we allow ourselves to receive all the support that we need so we can really begin to move these dreams into form? In the third quarter, we entered, I'll give you the dates for the quarters in just a second. You'll see that in the third quarter, we do a lot of work around fear, right? Set the stage, we've laid the foundation. Now we got to process our fears so that our fears don't hold us back, so that we're aware of when is the right timing to take action, and we don't let fear hold us back from taking those actions necessary. To a certain degree, this particular quarter is all about doing the work of the harvest, right? We're not letting our fear hold us back, even if it looks like the eggplants are not getting purple, right? And that sometimes happens if you plant white eggplants, by the way, which I didn't know was a thing until a few years ago. And then I realized, oh, they're right, because they're white. But anyway, in this harvest season, we're really exploring. We're exploring what's working, what's not. We're doing the work. We're actually really picking the fruits, if you will. And then in our last quarter here, the quarter recalibration, we've come to the end of the cycle, except for the kale. The kale never dies, right? We're pulled all the winter squash. We're cutting down all the old plants. We're preparing the beds for the winter and we're putting hay over the beds and getting ready, thinking about what are we going to plant next. The seed catalogs arrive at the end of this quarter of recalibration, right? I'm starting to get a couple of seed catalogs in the mail. And this is a time when we think about, well, what worked and what didn't, and how do we need to begin to prepare for the next cycle of growth. So the first quarter, the fourth quarter of seeding starts with the 13th gate. That happens in February 3rd, and it lasts until May the 2nd. So this beginning, the springtime in the northern hemisphere, springtime cycle is the quarter of possibility. It's a very important time to really start looking at what seeds are you putting into your world? What seeds are you planting? What seeds do you want to be nurturing and growing and taking care of? In the second cycle, the second quarter, the quarter of the template, we go from the second hexagram, the gate 2, to the 33rd hexagram, the gate 33. That lasts from May 3rd to August 4th. In this second quarter, we are again speaking or using the power of our language and the power of our actions to go beyond just seed planting. Now we're doing the work, right? We're writing the books, we're building the websites, we're going out and looking for the new job. We're doing all the things that we need to do to really begin to be ready for the harvest, to bear, to really start calling in the fruits of our labors. In the third quarter, August 5th through November the 4th, we have the quarter of harvest. And of course, in this quarter, we are literally, plucking the fruits of our labors. And most importantly, we're really looking at where is fear potentially holding us back, and how might fear be causing us to miss the cues and the clues around right timing and the right timing for actions. So last but not least, into our fourth quarter, November 5 to February 2nd, 2025, we then do the work of getting ready for the next cycle, looking at what's worked and what didn't. Of course, this is where we are right now. As we, I always say, don't start the new year. Don't start the new year on the new calendar year, because it's the worst time to start the new year. We start the new year on the cross of tension, with the 38 and the 39 being highlighted by the sun. And it is a time when we can feel really provoked. And that's an important provocation. And if we don't recognize that we're being provoked for a reason, and I like to think of it as sort of when you go to the allergist and you get allergy testing done, right? They provoke a reaction, right? They're provoking a reaction, and that lets you know where is there perhaps a bug in the immune system, right? And we know from your reaction whether this is something you need to treat, try to strengthen your immune response, right? And so when we get provoked, it's a good test. It shows us what we need to do. So expect in the next couple of weeks to be provoked. It's a time when the energies for the next couple of weeks are kind of dodgy. They're not the best energies for starting a new year. And so I would certainly say, as we move into the new calendar year, use the next couple of weeks to really look at where is your external world getting under your skin? Where are you getting bugged and provoked and challenged? Because those challenges are really actually showing you what do you need to be working on in order to make sure that the story you're telling about who you are matches what you're trying to create. Because if you're trying to create something and your personal narrative doesn't fit, like if you're trying to create money, for example, but your sense of self-worth and value doesn't match the amount of money you're trying to create, your story is what's creating, not your intention. And so I really want to encourage you, particularly in the next couple of weeks, as we come to the end of the fourth quarter of this creative cycle, that you use this time to really do a systematic exploration of your chart and your story and the potential of your story, and make sure that the story you're telling yourself and the world about who you are and how you are matches what you're going to create in this next cycle. Okay, good. I think it's interesting to note that each quarter starts with the energy for direction. So for those of you who are cross of this, the Sphinx, it starts on the cross of the Sphinx as a direction-giving cross. We have cycles of experimentation in each one of the creative cycles. We have cycles of tweaking inside each of the creative quarters. We always have the incarnation cross of the vessel of love in the middle of each quarter because that cross has 4 variations. So in the middle of each creative cycle, we get an opportunity to recalibrate and make sure that what we're creating is in alignment with our self-love, our love for humanity, that we're taking good care of our bodies, we're in alignment with our higher purpose. And of course, it follows with more experimentation, more tweaking, and finally, more direction. So we go through that whole arc of that creative cycle, and then we come into the new quarter and we get to continue to adjust our direction so that we're in a constant responsive dance with that feedback loop that is the universe. So we are co-creating with the quantum field. You can align or resist. I definitely just cannot stress strongly enough that this year, both alignment and resistance will create instant results. So really, do your inner work, because the more you have faith, the more you're telling a story that matches what you're intending, the more you're working on healing the karma of your self-worth, the more you know your value and your values, and you live and create in alignment with your value and your values, the more you will create synchronicity and magic, frankly. And of course, the more you resist, that resistance will show up instantly as well, which is good because that gives us instant feedback, right? So we are learning to reduce our reactivity this year and become more deliberate. We're learning to decrease, oh my God, do we need this or what? Our propensity for extremes. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of symptoms of rapid growth happening in the cosmos in the last few years. If you have felt discouraged by divisiveness in the government or everywhere on social media, if you've been discouraged by what seems like extreme points of view, part of those extreme points of view, orthodoxy and conservatism, and the other extreme, which I don't even know if there's a word for it anymore, that these extremes are actually symptoms of growth. And so it's really important that we not react on a daily basis to what feels like extremism. That doesn't mean don't talk about bad things that are happening and don't point it out and don't continue to work towards alignment and justice and equitability and abundance for everyone. But it means don't take the extreme positions that you're seeing too personally. This is a dying gasp of the end of many, many systems. We're in a cycle where many systems are coming to an end because we've outgrown them. It's not because the systems are necessarily inherently bad. We've outgrown them. They don't fit the new consciousness. And so they have to come apart. And when things come apart, when you come to the end of a system growth cycle, and things come apart, there's always going to be a group of people that are going to be extreme in their response. Usually it's because they want to go back to how things used to be. It's a grief cycle in a lot of ways. And if we put all of our energy trying to convince people who aren't ready to move forward that they should calm down and move forward, we're wasting our energy instead of putting our energy towards building something better. We can very quietly and very beautifully keep creating what we know we need to be creating, and trust that if we build it and we demonstrate how it works by embodying it with integrity and authenticity, that eventually the people will calm down and they'll quietly come along. So don't let yourself get too rattled by extreme positions. Those extreme positions are a dying gasp of the old. We are learning, as I said this year, to use alignment versus willpower. We cannot push and hustle anymore. It does not yield the results. We have been pushing and pushing and pushing. And certainly, I would say that one of the biggest things we got from, especially the COVID cycle, which, it's interesting to note that all pandemics, according to Ra, start with the sun in the gate 44. That would put the pandemic starting around November 2018. I think that's right. Yeah, November 2018. And that means that, all pandemics have a function, a very interesting function. And the purpose of a pandemic, if you look at the energy of it, and by the way, can I just say, as I say this, I'm not in any way wanting to be lighthearted or in any way ignore the pain and the loss and the fear and the stress of the pandemic. So as I say this, I'm not saying this flippantly. And I think it's interesting to note that the pandemic brought us a cycle of learning about our value and what is truly valuable. And there were a lot of really big themes that were accentuated by the pandemic that really forced us to have to start looking. We're not done looking, but to start looking at our patterns and to start exploring whether our patterns are creating an alignment with our values. And we are still very much in this process of looking at what patterns might be holding us back from creating what we want. And if we are overriding those patterns, if we're pushing against those patterns and continuing to stay stuck in those patterns, then we're going to have to use a lot of will to get out of them. So we're still in a deep cycle of needing to heal our integrity. And again, that part of that is healing our self worth. This becomes really important, especially as I said, in the first half of this year, because the nodes in the first half of this year, which are the themes that set the plot outline, if you will, for the story we're living in, the nodes are all about the gates of the will center. And so our big overarching storyline is this deep exploration on a personal and a collective level of value, values, what is valuable, willpower versus alignment. And if we are pushing, and many of us are pushing, and we barely have our head above water to begin with, if we keep pushing, the end result, the inevitable result is burnout. We're already, many of you, I suspect, are still just barely not crispy, right? So we're really needing to have the faith that being who we were born to be is enough, and it's creative enough, and it'll call in enough for us to be able to create something different. More will break free, continue to break free from these patterns of the past and create new patterns, new metrics of value. All right, so let's talk about how do transits affect your chart? Because as I go through in the next cycles, I'm going to go through planetary movements and gates and what to expect with these big planetary shifts and gates. I want you to look at these in the context of your own personal chart. It is, I sometimes hear people say when we start to look at transits, I hear people say things like, well, next year I'm a manifester, or next year I'm going to be emotional. What should I do? Do I act as if I have emotional authority next year when I don't? I want to start first by saying your natal chart never changes. So when you look at your chart and you start thinking about your year ahead, your natal chart is not going to change. So even if you get a major transit that gives you definition in a place that you don't normally have, you don't have that definition. But I do think it's important to note that you'll get a flavor of having that definition. You'll sense it and you'll feel it. So I'm going to break it down just because I know some of you may be more new to human design, and I want to break it down just in really simple terms. So if this is a review for you, enjoy it. If you're like, I already know this, go get some coffee. But I want to break this down because it's really important for you to understand so you can get the most out of looking at how do the transits affect my chart. So there are two important things that you need to concepts in a human design chart that I want you to remember. The first concept is that anything that's white in your chart, not colored in, is called open or undefined. So anything that you have white in your chart is open and undefined. Anything that's open and undefined is where you take energy in from the world around you. So you take energy in and you amplify it. You feel it in a big way, but you're not designed to hold on to that energy. It's not yours to hold on to. It's not yours to identify with. It's a way where you can use that openness ultimately to understand yourself and others around you. So wherever you have openness, if there is a transit that lands on a part of your chart that's open, you might feel that transit more than other people. So let's say, like, for example, right now, this is the gate 36 here, if you can see my cursor. Neptune has been sitting on this gate 36 for a long time. And If you have this gate open, you might have been feeling this gate 36 for the last couple of years. Now, that's a good, cool energy. It's an energy that's all about breaking free from patterns of the past, a big theme that we've been playing with a lot in many areas of the transits right now. But with Neptune sitting here, some of you may have felt more emotional than you normally have for the last couple of years. Anything that's colored in on the chart is what we call define. That's an energy that is sourced from within you. So when you have this energy and it's sourced within you, that's an energy that when you have a transit on it, it might not impact you that deeply because you already have that energy filled in from yourself, but you might notice it in other people. Okay. So you might notice it with other, that other people are grappling with the themes in the transits around you, even though you might not feel it as much. Now, as I said, the transits are going to bring you personal themes, especially if you have something open in your chart. And of course, they bring us global themes in general. There are a couple of ways for you to find out what's transiting. So there are slower moving planets. We're going to talk about those today. There are planets that move more quickly, like the sun and the earth and the moon and Mercury and Venus and Mars. Those planets move relatively quickly. And you might want to look at where are those planets moving and how might those be impacting your chart. So I'm putting this here for you. These are a couple of resources for you to look at. If you go to geneticmatrix.com, and again, don't kill yourself writing this down. We'll give you the slides so you can look this up. If you select Foundation Transit in the drop-down menu to display your natal chart and the current transit. So in other words, you run a chart. At the top, there's a little tab that says Foundation Transit, and it has a drop-down menu. And if you put plus current transits, it'll show you what the current transits are. Also, if you go to geneticmatrix.com, on their homepage is a chart that shows you what's transiting right now. The Human Design app also has the transits, and bodygraphchart.com has a free chart system that you can use to run your own chart and can show you the transits. Now, I'm going to show you what I use. I am not a digital girl, even though I play one on TV. I'm a big fan of using just a physical ephemeris. This is the 2024 Pocket Ephemeris. It has in it, it's just a spreadsheet that shows you where are all the planets and what is the moon doing at any given point in time. You can order these. They're not very expensive. If you go to humandesignsystem.com and go, if you look at I think it's ephemerides is the tab. You hit the tab ephemerides and you can buy those there. Search around, you'll find them. But I usually order about 3 or 4 of these at the beginning of the year. I keep them in my purse because I lose them all the time. But these are really handy, quick reference guide. If you start to feel funky or people are acting weird, you can go look it up and see that it's in the transits. So, all right. So let's look at how does the transits affect your chart. So let's say this is your chart on the left. This is a natal chart on the left. On the right, you have what's called a just now chart. This is all the transits happening. This is not a current just now chart. This is a chart that was run a while ago. But if you go to, say, Genetic Matrix, on the homepage of Genetic Matrix, there will be a chart that looks like the one on the right-hand side, this one here. And it's showing you where the planets are right now. The sun is in the 5, the earth is in the 35, the north node is in the 42, south node in the 32, moon is in the 32. Oh, there's a little bit of a conjunction there. Mercury's in the 58, Venus in the 28, Mars in the 9, Jupiter in the 27, Saturn in the 55. They're still there. Uranus in the 23, Neptune in the 36, and Pluto in the 60. Okay. So all of that's in a chart. This is your natal chart. Now, here's what you can, just want to show you this. You can do this manually. So the first thing you can just do is start to look at what's in this transit chart that you don't have in your natal chart. Okay, so you might see, oh, well, I already have the gate 5, right? The sun is in the 5. I already have the 5 in my natal chart. That's probably not going to impact me that deeply, but it might impact the people in my life significantly. All of a sudden, the people in my life might be thinking about Creating new patterns and habits. What new habits do we need to have, honey? How about we start getting up at 5 o'clock and having coffee and watching the sunrise together, right? So that might be a conversation your partner might have if he does not have the five defined in his chart, right? If you have the 35, again, this person also has the 35 in their chart. So they're not going to get impacted by that much. If we put these two charts together, which you can do, the genetic matrix will give you the ability to do that. So if you go to the chart with the drop down menu and you add the current transit, it'll give you a chart that looks kind of like this. You can start to see that in this case, this is a projector on the left, right? This is the transits on the right. That if you put the two charts together, this person's going to experience, they're not going to become splenic, right? They're not going to become splenic, but they're going to experience the flavor of splenic definition, which means they might find that all of a sudden their intuition and their instincts are not working the way that they normally work. That there's a little difference in how they're experiencing the energy. They might feel that they have energy that they don't. I'll tell you that when Ra first started teaching human design after his experience with the voice, Ra had the gate 15 defined. There was a transit that brought the 5 in, a long-term transit that brought the 5 in. So for several years, this channel 15-5 was in his field. It didn't change his chart, but he had the flavor of it. And so it defined, because anytime you have, let me back up for a second, you guys. Anytime you have one gate, like here we have one gate hanging, and then you encounter the other gate, that other gate is called an electromagnetic. What happens is in the energy of the relationship, it will define both centers on either end of what's called this channel. So here you see the spleen is open on this chart. So you have an open spleen, you have the gate 32. If this person gets into a relationship with anybody with a 54, or if the transits bring the 54, which it will next week the Earth sits on the 54, I believe. You can see the Earth. No, sorry, Sun sits on the 54 next week. This person will experience the flavor. They won't have a defined spleen, but they'll experience the flavor of a defined spleen because it's going to highlight the theme of this entire channel plus the center on either end. So I will say that for me and for some of you personally, the gate 36, which Neptune has been transiting the gate 36 for a couple of years, it sits in my chart in such a place where I have had the flavor of emotional definition for a couple of years. I don't like it. I'm normally emotionally open. But that feeling of emotional energy from the transits that I have experienced courtesy of Neptune does not feel natural to me. It feels really icky. I also have an open root in my chart. For those of you who have an open root center, sometimes when you get a transit that comes in that defines your root, it can actually make you lose your energy because you normally are operating under that from that pressure, right, of the open root. When the transits come in, you can occupy that space and it doesn't feel good. So sometimes if you're feeling a little off, go check the transits because sometimes what's happening is that those transits are giving you access to energies that you don't normally have consistently. And it can feel weird, right? And it can bring themes and it can bring evolutionary themes, right? So in this particular case, you'll see, as I said, this person, courtesy of the transits, gets the splenic definition from the gate 58. I'm sorry, I lied, from the gate 18 right here. So this completes this channel and this person experiences splenic energy during this transit. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically, the main point that I want you to realize is that your chart is not going to change. You will not change your natal chart. You will experience, wherever you have openness, the themes that the planets are bringing you. And sometimes it feels uncomfortable. And sometimes, especially if you have an open sacral, it gives you energy that you don't normally have. And you need to be mindful. And one of the things I want us to be mindful of is many of you are going to get definition in the will center in the first half of next year that you don't normally have. And that definition in the will center is going to make you vulnerable to burnout if you're not continuing to take time off and rest and factoring that need for rest into your weekly cycle. So, recognizing when these energies bring the flavor of change to your chart, again, doesn't change your natal chart, but it's important to work with it. If you get defined sacral energy, for example, if you're a manifestor or a projector or a reflector or an initiator, calibrator, or orchestrator in traditional and in quantum human design, that that you will need to make sure that you don't burn yourself out pushing with energy that you think you have, but you don't because the transits gave you that flavor. Obviously, these are the planetary symbols. These are going to show you your natal chart energy. And just as we go through the next planetary symbols, you'll know how to read these planetary symbols because you'll know them. So, the sun or this, I'm going to go through just the planetary themes and I'm going to lay out for you the archetypes that are highlighted by each of the planets so that when you look at the transit report or you look at the transits, how they're laid out, you'll kind of have a sense of the relationship between the planetary theme and the gate that they're highlighting. So anytime we have a transit, we have a planet shining its light on an archetypal theme. So for example, right now, the sun is shining its light. I don't hold on, that's this year. I forgot because I'm already in 2024. It's shining its light on the gate 58, the gate of the joy of mastery, right? And so we're in this last day of this joy energy. The sun is shining its light on the gate 58. The sun is what you're here to give to the world. The gate 58 is the gate of joy. So the sun right now is bringing us all a theme of shining light on our joy, our personal joy, and how we share more joy with each other, right? So the sun is yang, it's our output, it's what we're here to give the world. The earth, whatever the earth is highlighting, whatever the earth is shining her light on, is what grounds us. So if you are feeling a little bit disconnected from your momentum, from your purpose, if you're feeling like you're having a hard time dealing with the themes at hand, the earth grounds us. And the earth really tells us what we need in order to be stable. So oftentimes the earth is going to give us really important information to stabilize ourselves if we're going through a big cycle of transformation and change. So right now, the earth is highlighting the gate 52. The gate 52 is a gate of convergence. It's an energy that brings stillness and quiet. If you've seen the memes about people being lost and full of cheese on the days between Christmas and New Year's, has nothing to do with the calendar. It has nothing to do with cheese and everything to do with the fact that we have this energy of stillness that happens every year between Christmas and New Year's. It's a still time. It's a quiet time. It's a silent time, right? All is calm, all is bright because 52, the earth is highlighting the gate 52. So there's definitely an energy of anticipation and stillness and contemplation always in the week between Christmas and the calendar New Year. The moon, with whatever the moon is highlighting, is what's going to drive us. It's why we do what we do. The moon moves pretty quickly. So unless you're a reflector and you're looking at how the moon is impacting your natal chart, you're probably not going to pay too much attention to the moon unless it's a full moon, which is a great time to release, and a new moon, which is a great time to begin anew. The North Node theme is the theme of our maturity. It's our breathing out theme. It's what we're growing towards in our natal chart. We don't really mature that theme until after Uranus opposition, around 40-ish. On a yearly basis, when we look at the North Node positions, it tells us a lot about what we're growing towards over the course of the year. The South Node theme is where we're starting out. So when we look at the nodes, we're going to do that in just a minute. We look at the nodes for the year. We'll see that the South Node is sort of where we start in whatever cycle we're in. The North Node is what we're heading towards. And it really sets the storyline, the plot outline for what we're growing towards. Mercury is our planet of communication. We actually start the new year with Mercury retrograde. It goes direct right after the first. So we go, if you've been feeling a little gummy and gooey, that's because Mercury has been retrograde since December 13th. but we're coming out of it. And so we begin the year still in the shadow of Mercury, still a little bit in that dreamy phase, which is good because that's a good energy to really indulge in until January 23. Venus highlights our values, what we really value, and oftentimes what we love, and tells us a lot in our personal charts about what we love in our relationships. Mars can sometimes be activated energy. It can be immaturity. It can be where we have sometimes reactivity. It's also where we learn, and oftentimes it's a place where we have powerful youthful lessons. It's an arena within which we oftentimes have to explore how to get along better together. Jupiter is the planet of our blessings. It highlights where we receive our blessings and what archetypal themes do we need to explore in order to activate our blessings or amplify our blessings. Right now, Jupiter is highlighting the sign of Taurus. And so there's just a lot of energy still about expanding family, caring, connecting, community, getting ourselves grounded and rooted before we continue to move forward. Saturn gets a bad rap, but Saturn is our great teacher. Saturn often brings us the lessons we need to learn in order to clear away the debris and to really fine tune and realign our purpose and our direction. Saturn and Jupiter play together, by the way, very nicely. Saturn kind of brings the lesson, Jupiter brings the blessings. Once you complete the lesson, if you don't do the lesson, Jupiter doesn't bring the blessings, just saying. So you got to do both. You got to do the lesson and then you got to reap the rewards. Hold on, I'm pushing too many buttons. Uranus is a really can be a very big generational planet that brings big generational themes. It is oftentimes a planet that brings unexpected cataclysmic events that push us towards our growth and expansion. Right now, Uranus is still highlighting Taurus, which is really bringing us this big focus on systems coming apart, particularly systems that are about finances and community and support. And, I think it's interesting to note the last time Uranus was in Taurus was at the end of World War or mid World War II to end of World War II. And so a lot of the events that we are seeing right now really mirror what happened during that time. And so it's a really interesting time historically to evaluate because thematically, some of what we're doing and working through is very similar to that time. Neptune often highlights our spiritual themes. Right now, Neptune has been sitting on the gate 36 for the last couple of years. It moves in April of this year. Woo, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Neptune has been teaching us how to break free from patterns that have been holding us back from new experiences, adding new parts to our story. Neptune has really been supporting us in creating miracles in our lives. But in the shadow, Neptune creates chaos in the gate 36. And so it has felt a little bit mushy and unexpected and chaotic. When this planet shifts in April, I think some of the confusion that we've been experiencing over the last couple of years of what is true, what is truth, who's telling the truth, that some of that will drop. I think we'll get a lot more clarity. I think we'll break free from some of our old patterns and we'll have a different sense of where we're moving next. Pluto is where we expand and grow. It's also, again, a generational planet. It transforms us through a release, rebirth. It's oftentimes a place where there's a theme of death and renewal. And of course, it's oftentimes, again, a place where things come apart and create space in order for new growth to happen. Chiron is the wounded healer and oftentimes represents our life and spiritual purpose and our spiritual challenges that help us step into our spiritual purpose. So I'm going to take a deep breath because now we're going to go into planetary positions and movements for 2024. So do the hokey pokey if you need to, move around. I know it's a long time to be in front of a screen, and some of you have been off for a week eating cheese. And enjoying that earth highlighting the gate 52. We're getting ready to get some momentum going here, but first we have to get through this first Mercury retrograde cycle that ends once I think it ends on Tuesday. But Our very first full Mercury retrograde cycle in the entire year of 2024 happens April 1st through April 25th. We go through, Mercury will go retrograde through the gate 3, the gate 42, and the gate 51. So in this particular cycle, we're pushing inward and exploring what might be blocking our path forward as we push towards innovation and expansion. We're asking ourselves, what are we grateful for? What is working? What needs to be healed, released, aligned, or finished up in order for us to awaken and connect with our higher purpose in life? I'm going to read this last sentence again because I probably should have stuck this at the very beginning because this is another important contemplation for you to think about for the rest of this year. What needs to be healed, released, aligned, or finished up in order for us to awaken and connect to our higher purpose in life? That theme and that Gate 51 theme plays out all over the planetary weather this year. So you are going to be initiated this year. This will be a year of awakening and really a year of alignment and dreams coming true for those of you who are aligned. And if you're not aligned, it's going to be a year where you're going to get poked. And the cosmos and the universe and your world is going to keep poking on you and showing you all those places where you're resisting your own value. This first cycle, this first Mercury retrograde cycle, is an important time to contemplate. Don't act during retrograde cycles. Contemplate on what needs to be let go of in order to make more room. It's going to highlight if you need to have difficult conversations that you probably need to wait until it goes direct again. This helps you avoid reacting because there's a lot of potential for reacting and misunderstanding, especially because we have this 42 energy in the middle of it. So it's a great time to clean out your closet, sort through your files, do some cosmic and literal spring cleaning, but don't have those difficult conversations until you're done with this cycle. This particular cycle has the potential to be edgy and even shocking. So practice listening. Practice taking things under advisement. You can always come back and address the challenges in your relationships when you feel ready. Don't lose yourself in the name of pleasing others, and don't compromise on your true purpose and your authentic self-expression. That's our first Mercury retrograde cycle. The second cycle happens August 5th through August 28th, highlighting the gate 59, sustainability, the gate 29, devotion, and the gate 4, possibility. So it's easy to think you could use sheer effort or force to push through life. This retrograde cycle reminds us that pushing is finite. You can only push so far before our energy or our resources fail us. So I'm going to lovingly and gently say, take your vacation here. Like just put yourself somewhere where you're on a beach resting during this Mercury retrograde cycle. Try to get there before it hits so your travel plans don't get messed up, right? And just really explore deeply what kind of a practice do you need to cultivate in your life on a regular basis that anchors your mind, body, and spirit in the energy of possibility. It is an easy time when this is transiting. The cycle is going to kick up all of our self-doubt. Okay, so it is definitely a time when stepping out of the cultural narrative and stepping out of the cultural matrix, or our matrix of reality, might feel a little challenging. Okay, but we're learning here to create more and experience greater creativity when we rest, when we trust source, when we self-regulate and heal. So take that time during the cycle to really do that work. So relax, trust the process, don't push, don't resist, don't force. Nothing. The more you resist, the more you just get stuck in the goo. The third and final Mercury retrograde cycle of 2024 happens November 26th through December 15th. It highlights the gate 26, the gate 5, and the gate 9. This retrograde cycle reminds us that we create more expansion and resources when we choose in integrity with our self-worth. Again, everything we've been doing in all the other planetary positions, which we'll talk about, this is just another more personal planet highlighting, again, the theme of 2024, your self-worth. How do you heal the karma of your self-worth? How do you bring yourself into integrity with your value? How do you make sure that you're valuing yourself enough to take care of your body, to take care of your physical resources, including money, that you're taking care of your morality and making moral choices and not compromising because you don't think you have enough or you're not enough? How do you not overcommit your energy, or how do you not How do you not compromise who you are in the world? This cycle is going to be kind of the final thrust next year of working through this big theme of 2024. So we have this kind of nice sort of sewing this up towards the end of the year where we are again solidifying the idea. I'm going to get out of the slides and just look at you so that you get this face to face. Solidifying for you the idea that you are valuable because you exist, that your very existence is so important that literally the cosmos is what it is today because you're in it. That's how valuable and precious you are. If you don't learn anything else next year, that's what you need to learn. You need to be able to stand in that place where you recognize that you are a once in a lifetime cosmic event. You are a once in a lifetime cosmic event. There's never been anybody like you before. There will never be anybody like you ever, ever again. That's how miraculous your existence is. That's how precious it is. You're more precious than a diamond. And that value, when you live from that place, then you live from magic. Then you create magic. So I want to really encourage you next year to make doing whatever you need to do to really embody that in the heart of your BA, to make that your number one goal for 2024. Because if you get that, if you handle that, everything else will be fine. You'll be able to pivot. You'll be able to use your energy effectively. You'll be golden. All right, let's look at our nodes. Remember that we actually, even though they're in opposite positions on your natal chart, we move from the south node to the north node. Our south node is in the gate 57, starts in the gate 57. I'm not going to read the dates. You'll have these on the chart. Then we move to the gate 48, the gate 18, and the gate 46. I want to just point out that the first three gates in this sequence are splenic gates. So we have this grounding that has the potential to create fear. So we are still starting off with the potential shadow of fear, and then moving into embodiment, meaning we stop being afraid and we embody possibility. Our north node theme goes from the gate 51 to the 21, skips over to the 17, a splenic gate, and then, I'm sorry, not a splenic gate, it's a head gate, a possibility-oriented gate. Sorry, it's always paired with the 18. So it's up in the head. And ends with the gate 25, back in the will, back in the pointing towards the will center in the G. So we have we've got three centers that we're looking at in a little bit with the head. We've got G, a little bit of G, a lot of will, and spleen. So we are definitely looking at this long-term arc over the course of the year, this plot outline of dealing with our own fear of not being enough, dealing with our own fear of not knowing enough, dealing with our own fear of not being capable enough, dealing with our fear of the future, and not letting our fear hold us back from stepping into our value. And that means we might have to confront this year those places where we are afraid to be who we know we are because we think, well, if I am who I am, I won't be loved. Or if I am who I am, I won't be valued. That's a lie. That is a straight up lie. And don't lie to yourself about that. And your spleen is going to make you want to lie to yourself about that, because this is our lesson here right now. Our lesson next year is to not let your fear of losing your value, your fear of not being valued, your fear of not being loved, your fear of not being successful, not being abundant, whatever, to not let your fear stop you from being relentlessly authentic. That's our challenge for next year. That's it. You don't have to watch the rest of this program. You could go home now. You probably are home now, but that's it. If you get that handled, you're golden. The bottom line here, the nodes are laying out a soul curriculum of helping us learn to trust the wisdom of our heart and to draw our energy from the spark that is ignited by our alignment versus harnessing our willpower and continuing to improve by cultivating a consistent practice that supports strengthening our creative skills. So we are really like, this is a big, big lesson for next year. And I think it's going to be really fun. It's definitely going to be challenging. It's definitely going to force you to have to go deep, deep, deep. Okay. But that depth that you reach this year of continuing to step out of the matrix and own your value will have payoffs for decades to come. Okay, we're also learning to manage our response to fear, to stay out of reactivity and old patterns so that we can move forward with faith and confidence. The nodes instruct us to dig deep and find the courage to move forward because the call of our purpose and what we're running towards is stronger than the call to run away from our fear. Okay? Think about that. All right. Remember, I said there is a relationship between Saturn and Jupiter. So Saturn brings us lessons. Saturn is sometimes called the great destroyer, but really Saturn doesn't destroy things. Saturn removes obstacles. We just don't like the change sometimes that Saturn brings, but the change that Saturn brings is actually important change. And so Saturn this year moves through the gate 55, the gate 37, the gate of peace, the gate 63, the gate of curiosity, the gate 22, the gate of surrender. It goes retrograde June 29th through November 15th in the gate 63, where it sits for the rest of the year. So we are really exploring big concepts. Saturn's coming in and giving us a lot of places to explore our creative power. Jupiter brings us the gate through the gate 27 accountability, blessings, through the gate 2 allowing, through the gate 23 transmission, through the gate 8 fulfillment, through the gate 20 patience, through the gate 16 zest, through the gate 35 experience, through the gate 45 the ability to give or share and distribute what we have sustainably. In December 1, it goes retrograde for the rest of the year, again, highlighting again the gate 35. So what this means is that this year, we must deepen and strengthen our faith so that we may act in alignment with our positive expectations. This is our lesson that Saturn is bringing us. It's crucial if we're going to stay aligned with sufficiency, peace, and possibility. In other words, if you start to get scared and you start to slide into lack, there's not going to be enough. I'm not enough. There's not enough, right? When we start to slide into that, then Saturn starts to dismantle everything, right? When we stand in our faith, then Saturn expands on helps us expand on the blessings of Jupiter. The rewards of this faith is using intentional creativity, or we learn to use intentional creativity and being deliberate. And when we do that, we are in sync with right timing, and we have access to the energy necessary to take aligned action when the timing is right, which dramatically improves our productivity and our abundance. So in other words, again, the theme here is don't push. Don't push because pushing doesn't work. Pushing depletes. Instead, deepen your faith. We are being called by the planets next year to be wildly optimistic. And the more we can have a positive expectation that everything is going to be okay, the better we are, the better we do. Now, Saturn will take a little foray through Pisces. It'll eventually settle there, but forgive me. Saturn has been in Pisces from March 7th, 2023 until February 13 in 2026. We have been looking at a theme of Saturn and Aquarius. We have technology, internet, society, friends, companies, government, lies, and truth has been big upfront and forefront. When Saturn moves into Pisces, I think this is a typo on this slide, sorry. When Saturn moves into Pisces, the last time Saturn was in Pisces was in January 25, 1995. So think back to what was happening then. I was having a lot of babies in those days. It brings a theme of intoxication, addiction, intuition, compassion, dream work, empathy, imagination, poetry, mysticism, kindness, open-mindedness, artistry, adaptability, and the ability to pivot. So I definitely want to say there's a theme here as Saturn moves into Pisces. This theme is all about detoxing Okay. We are really weaning ourselves off of what does not support our sustainability and our evolution on a personal and a collective level. I really think that when we start looking at the theme of faith, that part of what is being called forth with this energy is we're being asked, we're being invited to have the faith that if we do the right thing, we won't lose out. We won't be the only good guy in the neighborhood and everybody else is going to be bad and skeezy and steal and take from us. It's inviting us to drop our defensive positions, to trust that if we do the right thing, if we wean ourselves off of what does not support our sustainability and evolution, it will be okay. And we need to do this through moving this. Oftentimes, we got to move the survival mode stuff out of our body next year. We got to do dancing, movement, soft movement, dream quests, listening and reconnecting with our inner voice, cultivating our creativity and our imagination. This is a really dreamy energy, but we have to be really careful because the same energy can create delusion. You don't need any more of this, religious fanaticism and reactivity because of blurred perceptions. So do check yourself. Do check yourself and make sure you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. Make sure that you're not drinking the Kool-Aid because you're scared. And instead, find your own flame of faith and build on that. So our keywords here is faith, imagination, abundance, and enough. Enough is a good word for next year. Uranus continues its transits through the sign of Taurus until April of 2026. So we start the year with Uranus highlighting the gate 23, the gate of transmission. This is definitely a place where, again, the theme is trust your knowingness, trust your inner knowingness. In June 7, it moves to highlight the gate 8, the gate of fulfillment. Again, continuing to bring us into an exploration around purpose and making sure that we are creating in alignment with our true self, our authentic self, and our authentic purpose. Both of these energies, the 8 and the 23, are what we call mutative energies in human design. Mutative energies bring evolution, growth, and the new. So we're discovering our relentless commitment to our authentic expression, trusting our own knowingness, and we're being invited to restructure the way we create our lives. We can no longer compromise on who we are in every arena of our lives that puts tension on any agreements that you've made from an inauthentic position. Pay attention to that. It's time to be honest and move on or renegotiate. These questions have been playing out in the arena of our finances. In particular, Uranus and Taurus shakes up collective structures that are out of sync with our evolution and growth, dismantling systems that no longer serve higher ideals of sustainability, justice, and equitability. We have learned that change and transformation are inevitable, right? And that when we trust ourselves and we trust our connection to source, we know what we need to know when we need to know it, and we know what we need to do next. So there's definitely a call here with this planetary energy to relax and really trust that being relentlessly authentic pays off. The challenge is that not everyone's doing the same work as you. Okay, so the gate 23 reminds us that we have to wait to share what we know with the people who truly value our knowing and the wisdom that we have, and not waste our energy trying to convince people. I mean, I think right there, that might put the whole internet out of business, right? Stop trying to convince people, and also stop trying to be right. It doesn't matter. You be right with yourself, and don't worry about anybody else next year. If we can do this dramatically transformative energy, when shared with the right people at the right time, dramatically transforms what we think is possible. So we're really in a revolutionary cycle. And these revolutions that are transpiring are not about convincing. Okay, so give it up. No convincing, no being right. You don't have to have fights at the dining room table anymore. No dragging others forward into their evolution if they're not ready. Just quietly live in alignment and model what alignment and creative fulfillment looks like. Neptune, dun, dun, dun. I'm so ready for this to move. I just have not enjoyed this transit at all. All right, so Neptune shifts from the gate 36, the gate of exploration, on April the 10th, to the gate 25, the gate of spirit. So we've been living in this miracle energy. Now Neptune moves to the gate 25. Now, Neptune, remember, is our planet where our spiritual purpose lives, right? And so this beautiful planet is now moving to shine its light on this place where the energy themes of our higher self live. And so this planetary curriculum gives us a gentle reminder to hold a vision and sustain it with an aligned frequency of emotional energy. Are you getting this theme here? Like, we have really kind of just a couple of themes playing out next year. It's so cool how all these planets are telling the same story, right? So we are being asked to sustain an aligned frequency of emotional energy and wait to bring that vision into form only when the timing is right. No pushing. We are learning to stretch the boundaries and limits of the human story. We're adding to the limits and boundaries of the human story. We're changing the story. This gate is a place where patterns are shattered by creating and ultimately exploring something different and new. We are breaking free from a predictable future that we've outgrown, and we're moving forward with gusto towards a higher purpose. The challenge here is not to move forward without right timing and alignment. Dun, dun, dun. This is emotional energy. That's the gate 36, and it's often hard to see the truth about what is actually being shattered. Without awareness, this gate can bring chaos, but chaos is often the precursor to things being reorganized and ultimately transformed. So when Neptune moves to this gate 25 in April, the gate of spirit invites us to trust the process and to continue to commit to our higher purpose and our higher vision. So it's really good to remember that when things seem confusing or hard to understand, Neptune promises clarity when we let go and connect to source. It's not for us to figure out. It's about recognizing that if things seem confusing, we need to stop. Stop everything. If you get confused this year, stop everything. Go sit down. Go meditate or connect. Or if you don't sit, if you walk, if you hang out with your dogs, whatever you do to get connected to your heart, get connected to your heart and the answers will reveal themselves. We are part of a bigger picture unfolding, even if it feels chaotic in the moment. And it will. I can promise you that. We're realigning towards something that better represents the fulfillment of a new human story. Pluto, dun dun dun. Pluto continues to sit on this gate 60. So here's the thing. This gate 60 pushes in the chart towards the theme of innovation. It is a place where conservatism lives. In the shadow of this energy, people hold on, right? They don't want to evolve. They don't want to move forward. They want to go back to how things used to be. Oh my God, have we not seen this everywhere on the planet in the last year, especially, right? People want things to go back to how they used to be. But we can't go back. You can't go back. And so, again, recognize that the desire that people have to go back is the dying gasp of evolution. It's the dying gasp of a system coming apart. So don't let the conservatism scare you if it scares you, all right? The high expression of this energy is gratitude. So you cannot innovate. You can't create change if you're throwing the whole thing out with the baby. If you're throwing out, what's the expression? If you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, you can't make change, right? If you're starting over from scratch and you're not bringing in what you know already works, you're basically living in an experiment. And that's not innovation. Innovation is building upon what you know already works. And so this energy is inviting us to take stock of what works, what's working, and to focus on it, to put energy towards it, to be grateful for it. Because when we focus on what is working, then it grows. And then we innovate. We take what we know already works and we build upon it. So we can't innovate, though, if we don't know what's true and what is truth. So we have to bring the people who resist forward with ease. We can't fight other people because it's just a waste of energy. So we are being invited by Pluto to explore the big picture and to cultivate a state of wonder and transcendence. And we have to find the blessings in the pain in order to cultivate the true solutions. Okay, so again, this is in the root center. This is an energy that influences timing. If you're sitting around hating on everything, that's the shadow of the 60, right? If you're sitting around hating on everything, you're actually slowing everything down because the universe doesn't bring you what you hate unless you're focusing on it. And then you're stuck in it because you're getting up every morning and focusing on, "Ugh, I hate my life." And so the universe is like, well, you're putting all this energy here. You must like it. Here, have some more, right? When we focus with gratitude on what is working, we actually expedite and shift the timeline. It's one of the key energies in the chart that give us influence over timing. So if you want things to change and you want to speed it up, find the things that are working and point your energy in that direction. Give that energy, give that, whatever that situation is, give it energy, give it heart with focused energy, i.e., gratitude. Chiron highlights the gate 51, starts with the gate 51. On May the 2nd, it shifts to the gate 42. You may have seen the gate 51 and the gate 42 playing out a lot over these uh, over these last, looking at all of the overview of the transits. The gate 51 is the gate of initiation, new things, cataclysmic new beginnings. The gate 42 is finishing up old things. So we have this contrast all year long with these two gates of new things, finishing off old things, new things, finishing off old things. So the Chiron mirrors the themes of our nodes. Our nodes also highlight similar themes. So this really just continues to bring us this theme that it's time to bring old ideas and outward patterns to an end. That's that gate 42. In order to begin anew, we have to create room for the new. And that means we got to let go of the old. And when we let go, we make room for more. So really not a year to hold on too tightly. If you hold on too tightly this year, the universe will force your hand and you'll either resist or you'll feel like the rug got pulled out from under you. But if you are open to the flow of change and you know that you're being initiated into a higher fulfillment, a deeper, richer fulfillment of your purpose, let go and let go and let go with ease and just keep taking the next step and the next step and the next step and pivoting with grace as you go along. So eclipses for this year. We are enhancing and deepening the personal collective stories. We are evolving. We are in the Aries Libra axis, moving to the Pisces Virgo axis with the first lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 17th. So we're in the Aries Libra axis that invites us into an inner dialogue that encourages us to be surprised, relentlessly authentic, and even youthful or bold with our actions. Aries can be immature and headstrong and often needs to be tempered by the quest for balance, which is highlighted by Libra. Again, we're asking ourselves, courtesy of the eclipse season, how can we be honest about who we are, what we need, and diplomatic about how we get our needs met? We are exploring our needs and wants in any place where we perceive ourselves lacking and learning how to get these needs met in a sustainable, peaceful, and equitable way. In September, we get our first eclipse on the Pisces Virgo axis, where we are exploring improvement versus our discontent, kind of like the gate 60, right? And looking at which patterns need to be disrupted and reordered in order for us to create something new and better. So again, you can see in every area, in every layer of the celestial weather, we are dealing with pretty much the same themes over and over and over again. So whenever we have a solar eclipse, we have solar eclipse on the new moons. Our new moons are always beginning cycles. And of course, our new moons this year and our eclipse this year invites us, our solar eclipses this year invite us to explore what knowledge and wisdom do we need to cultivate in order to deepen and fulfill our higher purpose. Our full moon energy, which is when we have lunar eclipses, are all about releasing. And so our lunar eclipses this year invite us to explore the question, what do we need to realign to position ourselves in order to, what do we need to realign and how do we need to position ourselves in order to break free from limiting patterns and change the story of what we believe is possible? So here are your eclipse season, your eclipse outline for the year. So we've got March the 25th, we have a prenumbral, that's not right, lunar eclipse, which is gate 18 realignment. On April the 8th, we have a big solar eclipse, which we'll be able to see in many parts in the United States. We have a solar eclipse in the gate 51. See, the gate 51 is there again. I find I'm a little bit interested in the eclipse in April 21. Of course, a solar eclipse is always an amplifier and an initiator. We have an amplifying, initiating energy on the gate 51. It's going to be pretty interesting, I think. Pretty powerful solar eclipse. September 17th, we have our Pisces lunar eclipse highlighting the gate 36. Again, this pattern disrupting miracle circuit, right? And on October 2nd, we have our solar eclipse, gate 48, in the gate 48, the gate of wisdom again. We have, again, on March 25th and October 2nd, two gates being highlighted by eclipses, focusing on releasing fear, right? Letting go of the fear. So consistent themes. Nothing is surprising in these different layers. We are just doing really the same themes over and over and over again. So here we go. So here's a quotation I just want to leave you with as we go through the end of our little presentation here. I think this is sort of a good quotation to think about as we move into 2024. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Buckminster Fuller. I think it's a really good policy for us to think about and contemplate. I might also put this quotation somewhere near your desk or your computer, especially if you're about to log on to Threads or Twitter. Don't even go there. No fighting. Just put your head down, get yourself synced up with your heart, your purpose, be aligned, do what you know you need to do, be in the flow of synchronicity and magic, keep adjusting, keep tweaking, and just build something better. The more you show people what's possible, the easier it'll be for them to see possibilities for their own lives. So, last things to remember. We are in a long cycle of incredible transformation in the evolution of humanity. Everything is subject to change. Everything. The prime directive is to be yourself and to make choices that allow you to step into bigger, bolder expressions of who you really are. Zero compromise. Get that tattooed on your forearm so you see it every day. We are moving towards new values and new economies, sustainable resources, and actually we're moving towards peace, even if it doesn't look like it right now. Don't take anything at face value. Stretch yourself and truly define yourself the way you know you are in your soul. This is a pivotal year. Pace yourself. Take care of yourself. You influence what you experience when you stay connected to your authentic self. Don't push with willpower. Listen to your body. There is no shame in rest. In fact, rest is essential. So, really look at your energy and acknowledge where you are. Sometimes the things that deplete us are mysterious. We've had to spin through a huge major solar flare cycles. There's actually research that shows that many of us get exhausted during big solar cycles. So if your body is tired, even if your brain is like, well, there's no reason for you to get tired, don't listen to your brain, listen to your body. The planets are teaching you to use your mind to stimulate your emotions with the power of your imagination. Okay, so be creative this year and really take care of your creativity the same way you take care of your body. I would encourage you to really cultivate a creative practice. Use your mind for expansion, not contraction. You always deserve more. Trust yourself in what feels true. Be patient, clear old trauma, and cultivate faith. 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. You'll experience a much better year when you surrender. Okay, so just 1 step at a time. So here's some essential things that you can use to help you prepare for this upcoming year. If you have not seen, I'll show you in full screen in just a minute. If you have not seen the 2024 Quantum Human Design Evolution Guide, just stop sharing. Every year I publish a book that goes through the Sun-Earth transits. This year we've added Mercury retrograde cycles. We've got the eclipse cycles in here. This is just a weekly guide to walk you through 2024 and how you can really use the transits to make the most of your year. If you have not seen or used our Quantum Human Design activation cards, this is actually a set of cards that you can use lots of different ways. I actually pull a card every morning and just use it as a contemplation. It has a nice little guidebook that outlines all the quantum and human design gates. And if you have not seen the Encyclopedia of Quantum Human Design, also a really nice resource. It's a full color professional resource for anybody who wants to go deeper in the quantum human design language. I also have something I want to share with you. I kind of have a New Year's gift, if you want to say that for you. Um, so you may or may not know that we have an online human design membership community. In this membership community, we have weekly coaching. We have a whole host of programs and trainings to help you really interpret your own personal chart. You get to meet with me once a week live on a call where you can ask any question you want about your chart. We do focused classes. So we've been doing in the last couple of months, we've done classes in there about human design and money, human design and relationships. We look at your life purpose and how to find your life purpose in the chart. It's an incredible community. It's rich. It's full of like-minded people. We have a thriving, I say the word community again, but we have a thriving community where people really connect with each other. If you are new to human design and you want to learn more about your chart, or if you are living your design, but you want to be in a community of people and go deeper in really exploring how to live true to your design, to live true to that authentic self that's so important in 2024. I really want to encourage you to check out our membership. We have an entire curriculum that we go through that walks you through all the parts of the chart. We talk about quantum human design. We talk about traditional human design. We're going to be talking about human design and healing. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff in the next a few months in there. I want to invite you to join the membership, and I'm going to give you a free trial membership. That I'm giving you a free trial membership because I believe in that membership community so much. It is such an incredible value. Teresa Miller is in there, who is our director of the program. She does all kinds of creative activities with you all. It's just, I think some of you have posted even in the chat that it's just an incredibly powerful opportunity. So I want you to get the most out of 2024. So join the membership. You get the 1 month free trial in the membership. While you're in there, you can get a PDF version of the 2024 evolution guide. You can go through the expedition program and really go deep into looking at your chart. Obviously, we will meet not next week because it's a holiday on Monday, but the following week, you'll have a live coaching session with me. I'm in there every week. We do all kinds of stuff online in our private community. So join our membership. Get your year started off right. Really go check it out. You have nothing to lose. Just go check it out and explore the resources in there. I don't know, Anne, when the next expedition starts, but it'll probably start sometime. Probably, I'm guessing mid-January we'll start the next expedition. So get in there, go check it out. No, you have nothing to lose. Just start the year off deeply aligned with the magnificence that is you. All right. So, okay, I have to check my slides and make sure I finished everything I was going to say. Da-da-da. Okay, yeah. So we have a private community for connection. I said it already. You get a weekly energy forecast. So once a week, you get a video from me. It's usually about 10 minutes long. Sometimes I'm in my bathrobe, kidding. I'll go through all the transits for the week. Plus, you've written contemplations that go with this. So you get it's not live, it's recorded, a video energy forecast once a week. We have live weekly meetups. We have special events. We have creative activities. We have really fun creative activities. Like we do art. We do all kinds of fun stuff in there. If you want to just straight up join the membership, it's $350 for the year. You get to actually 2 months free if you join for the year. If you join monthly, it's $35 a month. But as I said, just go here to the link. Jamie will post it in the chat. You'll get to receive a free 1 month trial membership. And just, give yourself the gift of starting the year off right. So, all right, I just have to show you this. Focus on one triangle as you look at this. I want to remind you as we come to the end of our presentation here that you are an integral part of the whole. Contained within you is every possibility in the cosmos. You are a holographic representation of the divine. You are an infinitely perfect, beautiful, abundant, once in a lifetime cosmic event. And you being you fulfilling that story that only you can fulfill is your purpose in life. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. It's not leading groups of people. That might be part of it for some of you. It's not what you do. It's who you be. The more you live true to yourself, the more you live true to your joy, your abundance, your alignment, your definition of success, the more you fulfill your purpose in this lifetime. The world needs people who are able to step into that fulfilled place. Because when you hold that space, think about it this way, when you walk into a room and you're walking into that room deeply aligned with your authentic self, you're living in a high vibrational state. And if we look at science, we look at physics, vibrations entrain each other. High vibrations lift lower frequencies. It doesn't work the other way around. A lower frequency, it's physically impossible. A lower frequency cannot pull a higher frequency down unless you allow it. So if you embody that space, that high vibe space, and that space, that energy comes from being yourself, being true to who you are. When you live in that space, you regulate the room, you influence the room, and you create an opening for everyone else around you to do the same in their own way. That, my friends, is the nexus, the causative force of creating a critical mass of people who can create peace and abundance and justice and equitability and sustainability on this planet right now. You are the people who will be quietly building this beautiful, better world and showing people what else is possible and holding the energy, what else is possible, and calling people in. So do that, make that your goal for 2024. Don't set any intentions until January 23rd. Take it easy, rest, explore what comes up, take good care of yourselves, gear up for an amazing and wild year. Hold on to your values, hold on to your hats. It's gonna be okay. And don't worry, existential crisis Bob's got you. Thank you all for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all in membership, and take good care of yourselves. Have a great, happy new year.